Ibrahim Traoré, a name now synonymous with change and upheaval in Burkina Faso, emerged from humble beginnings. Born in 1988 in Bondokui, he rose through the ranks of the Burkinabe military. His journey began in the classrooms of Bobo Dioulasso and Ouagadougou, where he received his education. In 2010, he enlisted in the army, embarking on a path that would lead him to the nation's highest office. Traoré's military career was marked by both domestic and international experience. He diligently served in the UN peacekeeping mission in Mali, a testament to his commitment to regional stability. Back home, he engaged in counter-terrorism operations, confronting the growing threat of militant Islamism that plagued Burkina Faso. His dedication saw him ascend the ranks, becoming lieutenant in 2014 and captain in 2020. However, Traoré's destiny took a sharp turn in the tumultuous year of 2022. Burkina Faso, already reeling from a coup in January that ousted President Roch-Marc Kabore, witnessed another seismic shift in power. This time it was Captain Traoré who led the charge, seizing control from Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba in a bloodless coup. At 34, Traoré became the world's youngest head of state, ushering in an era of uncertainty and change. The swiftness of Traoré's rise to power shocked many. His background, while reflecting military competence, offered little indication of his political ambitions. Yet, Burkina Faso found itself under the command of this young captain, his eyes set on a new vision for the nation. The future under Traoré was uncertain, a blank canvas upon which he would begin to paint his vision for Burkina Faso. Upon assuming power, Traoré wasted no time in implementing his vision for a new Burkina Faso. His domestic agenda, characterized by a mix of populist measures and authoritarian control, aimed to address the nation's deep-seated issues. He understood the need to appease a population grappling with economic hardship and disillusioned by government corruption. One of Traoré's first acts was to slash the salaries of government ministers by a significant 30%. This symbolic gesture, aimed at demonstrating solidarity with the struggling masses, was met with mixed reactions. While some lauded his commitment to fiscal responsibility, others saw it as a populist ploy. In a move designed to appease the working class, Traoré announced a 50% increase in workers' wages, a bold move intended to stimulate economic growth. Traoré's fight against corruption, a scourge that had long plagued Burkina Faso, took center stage. He launched a series of high-profile arrests, sending a clear message that no one was above the law. Vincent Dabelgou, the former transport minister, became a symbol of this crackdown, sentenced to 11 years imprisonment for embezzlement. These actions resonated with a public weary of rampant corruption, signaling a potential turning point in the nation's fight for transparency. However, Traoré's commitment to reform was often overshadowed by his government's increasingly authoritarian tendencies. The media landscape, once vibrant and independent, found itself stifled by censorship and intimidation. Journalists critical of the regime faced harassment and arrest, while dissenting voices within civil society were silenced. The judiciary, once a beacon of hope for justice, faced increasing pressure to toe the government line, eroding public trust in the rule of law. Traoré's foreign policy represented a radical departure from his predecessors, signaling a definitive break from Burkina Faso's traditional alliances. He viewed the existing global order as inherently unfair, designed to keep African nations in a perpetual state of dependency. His actions, often described as defiant and unpredictable, sent shockwaves through the international community. One of his most consequential decisions was withdrawing Burkina Faso from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. This regional bloc, once seen as a cornerstone of West African integration, became a target of Traoré's ire. He accused ECOWAS of being beholden to foreign interests, particularly those of former colonial power France, and of failing to address the root causes of instability in the Sahel region. Traoré's rejection of French influence went beyond rhetoric. He demanded the withdrawal of French troops from Burkina Faso, accusing Paris of perpetuating a neo-colonial relationship that hindered the country's development. This bold move resonated with a segment of the population, particularly the youth, who had grown increasingly disillusioned with France's perceived role in the region. In a move that further cemented his image as a maverick leader, Traoré forged closer ties with Russia. He saw in Moscow a potential counterweight to Western influence. a partner willing to provide military and economic assistance without conditions. This burgeoning relationship, while welcomed by some, raised concerns about Burkina Faso's increasing dependence on a global power with its own expansionist agenda. As Burkina Faso enters a new chapter under Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, the path ahead remains fraught with challenges and uncertainties. The country finds itself at a crossroads, grappling with a complex web of internal strife, regional instability, and shifting global alliances. The long-term implications of Traoré's rule on Burkina Faso's democracy, stability, and place in the world are yet to be fully understood. One of the most pressing concerns is the escalating security crisis. Despite Traoré's efforts to bolster the military and mobilize civilian militias, the threat posed by militant Islamist groups continues to grow. The violence has intensified, leading to a surge in fatalities and displacing millions of people. The humanitarian crisis, exacerbated by drought and food insecurity, has reached alarming proportions, pushing the country to the brink. Public perception of Traoré's rule remains divided. While he enjoys a degree of support, particularly among those who see him as a strong leader capable of restoring order and challenging the status quo, his popularity is not universal. His government's increasingly authoritarian tactics, the crackdown on dissent, and the erosion of civil liberties have alienated many, raising concerns about the future of democracy in Burkina Faso. The long-term success of Traoré's ambitious agenda hinges on his ability to navigate these complex challenges. Addressing the security crisis, alleviating the humanitarian suffering, and restoring faith in democratic institutions will be paramount. Failure to do so could plunge Burkina Faso into further turmoil, with devastating consequences for its people and the wider region. The world watches with bated breath as this young and untested leader charts a new course for his nation, a course that will ultimately determine the fate of Burkina Faso.